Hello everyone, great to have you on the channel here at MeteoMark Weather. Welcome. We're going to be looking at the tropics over the next several days. Yep, we're still dealing with a lot of rain. There could be a surge of tropical moisture, a big, strong tropical wave next week, Christmas week. We'll take a look at all the details, see who has the greatest risk of shower and thunderstorm action. And we're also going to be taking a look at our winter storm outlook after our tropical update here. We could be looking at some very close calls along the U.S. East Coast here. It's going to be a watch and see type of thing, as next week a tremendous amount of cold air pours in this weekend into next week through Christmas. And could we be looking at some potential for some Christmas or just after Christmas snow in parts of the Northeast? Let's get into it. All right, so looking at the tropics here, and then after the tropics, we'll take a look at our winter storm outlook. But here we are. Whatever's left of that low, that strange old low that was pushing across parts of the Western Atlantic into the Caribbean, has pretty much weakened. We still have a lot of showers around, and we'll go over those rainfall amounts momentarily. We do have an area up here across northeast to the Bahamas. This little area up here, this could spin up into potentially something. So let's just back this up. This is going to be just doing loops out here between Bermuda and the Azores up here. So it's just going to be mainly an impact to shipping lanes, and then it gets absorbed come the 22nd. So getting into, as we get towards the end of this week and beginning of next week, look what starts to happen across the Southern Caribbean here. This is the 21st, so we're getting over the weekend here. We have a lot of showers pushing in. We also have another wave just south of Trinidad and Tobago here. A big wave here coming off the South American coastline, and that's going to spread rain all the way up to Honduras and Belize as we head on into the weekend, into Christmas week here. Look what starts to try to form here. A big old area of low pressure, lots of showers and thunderstorms all the way up to Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Jamaica. This will be slowly pinwheeling northwestward here. We also have a front that's dropping south across the Bahamas and the Northern Caribbean. And watch what happens as we go out in time. Yeah, a lot of rain right around Christmas Eve, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti. These two are going to combine forces here. Look at Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras. You get maybe a little break as a lot of this stays off the coast just in time for Christmas Day here. But still, it's going to be really close for you. But a lot of the activity is going to be associated with this frontal boundary stalled up here, focusing all this moisture that's training northward here. So as we get into the 26th here, into the 27th, you do start to see evidence that this gets pushed to the east and to the westerlies here. Look what starts to happen. This is the much advertised clearing trend that I was seeing towards the end of the month. As we just push it on in time here, yeah, we do have some showers cropping up across Central America and the Lesser Antilles up to Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, but it looks very disorganized at this point as we head through the 29th and on into the 30th. And now here's where things really start to go a little bit wrong. And it has time to change because this is 324 hours out. You don't like to see this sort of thing, but the good news is we have plenty of time to watch it, and it is pretty far out here. So we can take it a little bit with a grain of salt. But that does look pretty menacing, and if that were to verify, there would be tremendous tropical moisture feeding north and west. All right, so let's hop on over to the European model here, and you can see in time here, what's ever left over of that area of low pressure is still showing up here across the northern and northeastern Caribbean islands. You can see Central America as well. On those northeasterly winds, those northern face coastlines and mountain ranges, easterly areas as well, that's where you're going to continue to get it. And you can almost sense out here with the isobars, we have a little mini low down in through here, and that's all going to just be pinwheeling here towards the northwest. So as we continue through the 19th into the 20th, you can kind of see some moisture getting funneled southward here with this frontal boundary, and showers and thunderstorms continuing across much of the Caribbean. Here's our little storm out here, maybe trying to form into something. We'll see. But as I said before, it's mainly a threat to shipping between Bermuda and the Azores. Now, as we head through the 20th into the 21st, you can kind of get a feeling of what's going on here. European model is much more pessimistic here as we head on into Christmas week. Look at this. A lot of shower and thunderstorm activity just continuing to pummel in here. Watch these northeast facing coastlines here, Jamaica, Portland, parish here and surrounding parishes. Northern coastline of Honduras, we do start to get that Moisture trend back in along the north coast. And look at this. This just looks like a big blob of moisture. Nothing really organized, but as you can see, we go through the 23rd and we lose our precipitation feed here on this because it's hour 144. But look at this. European going with a big, strong tropical wave here. Just around Costa Rica, south of Jamaica, east of Honduras. But that's just going to keep the moist flow here out of the east-northeast. I have to say, many of you from the Caribbean islands, Central America, says this is very unusual for this time of year. It is. It's extremely unusual to have this kind of tropical moisture feeding on into late into December like this. And thanks to Tropical Tidbits for our mid-layer and dry air mid-layer analysis here. So this gives us an idea of where the moisture is. So as we continue through this week, you can see things are moistening up here. Obviously, from Central America all the way to the Lesser Antilles, we're going to continue to watch what's left of that area of low pressure, as well as moisture from South America here, just funnel in. And as you can see, as we go through the 22nd, 23rd, this is the GFS, by the way, and I'll show you the Euro momentarily. Look at what I'm concerned about here. Tremendous surge of tropical moisture from Puerto Rico and all the way up to the Dominican Republic and Haiti and down in through parts of Central America and northwestern South America. And this just continues to pummel north towards Honduras as we get into the day after Christmas here. Watch out. So what starts to happen here is the frontal boundary action does start to kick in. So we'll have to see just how far to the south and east this does kick. However, your GFS at the end of the forecast period for New Year's Eve is showing a surge here with a potential low pressure, a major tropical wave or a disturbance trying to push towards the north and west. And this could, if this verifies, this could be a major problem for the central and western Caribbean. And here we go for the European model. European model initially is drier, which is good news. Still some moist areas here, especially under that mid-layer where the moisture has been getting trapped on those trade winds. And that orographic lift here on the northern coastlines with some of those elevated mountains. But look at this. As we head through Sunday, the 22nd into the 23rd, here it is, just like on the GFS, as we head through the day after Christmas here and on into the 27th and 28th. It's not as pronounced on the European as it is on the GFS. This takes us through January 1st, but you can still see it here. This is not really that normal for this time of year to see these moisture surges like this. All right, so for our rainfall here on the GFS model as we head through this week into next week, we do dry out across parts of Jamaica, at least the next couple days, Cayman Islands. But look at this. By next week, Christmas week, look what starts to happen here. Yeah. Not only Honduras, where the north coast, you'll see additional amounts. This takes us through January 2nd. It is pulling back a little bit here in Belize and Honduras. That is some good news. You're still looking at continued rainfall, though, up towards 90 to 100 millimeters in some, especially the northwestern areas here. But look at down and through. Here is northeastern Jamaica. Yeah, we're going to start to see this push, especially around, in and around Portland Parish, up towards 100, 150 millimeters. Get you easily up towards 3.5 to 6 inches. Here across Dominican Republic, tremendous rainfall as well, up towards 150, 200 millimeters. Turks and Caicos of the Bahamas. But look at down in through Costa Rica here. This is getting dangerous. 460, 450 millimeters. You're talking about rainfall well above a foot. Close to 12, 16, 18 inches of rain. So this is some bad news. And let's flip over to the European run here. You can get an idea as we head through Christmas here. Europeans going more bold here with the rain, close to 200 millimeters along the north coast of Honduras here. Northeastern Jamaica. Look at Costa Rica down through here. This is bad news. Here it is as we head through the new year, January 1st. Just continuing with tremendous rainfall totals. There's northeastern Jamaica. Let's get our marker out here. Yeah, you're up towards 120, 150 millimeters, up towards 4 to 6 inches in that range. Dominican Republic as well above 100 to 150. Costa Rica down here, just 549 millimeters. And the north coast of Honduras, we have to watch, close to 200 millimeters in some of these areas. And let's head to the Eastern Caribbean here. Yeah, it just doesn't want to end. As we head through Christmas week, You do see a break this week, some later, but it just moistens up quite a bit around Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. You got a rain shadow here in the Virgin Islands. So if you're vacationing there, it's looking a little bit better, 30 millimeters or below. But look at down through Trinidad, Tobago here up through St. Vincent and these islands, especially the eastern facing coast. You could see upwards of 100 millimeters through New Year's here. So watch out. You're talking about rainfall in this general area, 3 to 5 inches. All right, looking at our future radar here, we're going to be watching our storm unfold here across the Ohio Valley into the northeast. Also, we're going to have a line of convection through Texas here, parts of Arkansas, up and through parts of Tennessee, and maybe as far north as eastern Kentucky. I don't expect any embedded thunderstorms that much further to the north. We got cold air on the northern side. It's not going to be like a major deal. We're not talking about widespread winter storm or winter weather advisories here, but you can see there's going to be some wet snow on the northern side as we head through. Here it is on Wednesday. There may be some wet snowflakes mixing in, snow shower action near Cleveland, Buffalo. We're not talking about any major accumulations here. In fact, most areas will remain under an inch, but you can see here that just spreads to the north and to the east here. Most areas staying rain northwest or north southeast of this line here through northwestern Pennsylvania up through the Capital District of New York State, Binghamton, pretty much staying rain pretty much most of the storm here until on the backside we get towards 10 p.m. All rain here for the Hudson River Valley. And you see this pulls out before the cold air can really filter in. All the moisture is pretty much lost at this point. Maine and New Brunswick up here, northern New York. Look at the lake effect streamers start to kick in behind it here. So we'll have to watch out for some action. It's not going to be a major lake effect outbreak, but we could have a few snow showers. And then as we head into the 19th, into the 20th, getting right into your Thursday here, here is our next system. This one's a little more interesting. Could promote some widespread 1 to 3 inch snowfall accumulations as we head on into Thursday night, Friday, and into Saturday. All right, so our Mesoscale NAM 3 kilometer snowfall amounts here on the backside of our Wednesday and Wednesday night system. Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with this. There'll be some lake enhancement behind it in some of these areas where you could get up to 2 to 4 inches on the backside, but most areas staying under an inch. Now, up here in the mountains of northern New England, yeah, you could get higher amounts here, closer to 2, 3, 4, maybe as much as 5 inches. Very isolated, though. And here we go. John sending him some photos here from Tom Chattelbash Park, Frozen Lake. Very nice captures here, John. You can see looking really nice across the area. You can see the ice right out there. All the leaves are obviously off the trees. So very, very nice captures. It looks like it was a beautiful day. We got some birds on the other side here. In the second photo here, you can see, look at that ice. So yeah, it's actually been colder than the last couple of winters. So we'll see if we can get some snow down in your area, John, as we progress later on into December and into January. Nice captures out there. And before we continue with more weather coverage, don't forget, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I'd love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. And if you haven't caught my winter 2024-2025 outlook, it's a link in the description down below and at the end of this video. So be sure to check that out. Let's continue. All right, so winter storm outlook here, starting off in our GFS, and we'll show you the European model. So, yeah, we have big storminess up here in the Pacific Northwest. That's going to continue into Tuesday night, early Wednesday. But look at here across the east. Yeah, we do have a breakout of snow showers. GFS continuing to show more heavier snow here. It's not really going to happen much with that. Little, if any, accumulation, wet snowflakes mixing in with the rain here. So this thing is going to be a much weaker system. That pulls out pretty quick here. Now, it's this next system we're going to watch very closely. If we go out here on the West Coast, we still have that system up here in the Pacific Northwest. But look what's happening. This dives to the south and to the east like this. And I'm going to show you on the European model momentarily, the parallels here. So this energy kind of gets absorbed off the coast. It doesn't truly head back towards the coast. It's going to be a close call here, so we still have some time to watch it. But as we see out here in time, it's going to really clip Nova Scotia, it looks like, this weekend. Look at that. That could be a major blizzard. So watch out. Nova Scotia, southern New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island up to Newfoundland here. Things could get pretty interesting as we head on into the weekend. And I'll have that in my Canadian Outlook several minutes from now. That pulls out to the northeast. So yeah, it kind of spares the East Coast on this run, but I caution you, they've been back and forth. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Those of you that want to know if there could be a white Christmas in some areas of the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, look at this system that's pushing through on Christmas Eve. Yeah, there is some warm air pushing out ahead of it. It is a weak system, so we're not talking about blockbuster snowfall accumulations here. But look at this. Rain throughout the Ohio Valley. Look at Cleveland, Akron here. You look at the time. This is 7 a.m. Burst of heavier snow over to northwestern Pennsylvania. So let's just put this into motion. We can see, look at this. As we head throughout, there it is, the afternoon and early Christmas Day hours here, 1 a.m. Look at this, snowfall continuing. We'll take a look at those snowfall amounts momentarily here. This could get a little on the interesting side. And here it is, Christmas night, trying to kick up something, a little low, trying to develop off the coast, but snow showers across northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York area, down and through parts of the Hudson Valley. So we might have a coating of snow trying to form here for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after. Now look what does behind it here as we head towards New Year's. Blasting warm air, that inferno firecracker ridge builds in. So taking a look at the European run here, let's take a look at this, comparing it to the GFS. So our first system, you know, it's kind of more like an open wave, area low pressure heading towards the northeast. Very little cold air on the north side to work with. So it's mostly a cold rain with some snow showers on the northern end. You see, it doesn't really develop anything major with this low pressure. Now, let's continue to go out here in time. Look at that area across the northern plains here. We have our low pressure dropping south. It looks kind of like a Alberta Clipper style low here. So watch as we go out here in time. You can see on the north side of this, we're going to get some gusty snow showers as we head on into Friday. Look at this low coming up the coast like this. Take a look at this. This is where things get a little bit interesting here. And let's just continue out in time here. So watch how the two try to merge potentially here into something. So, this run of the European model doesn't really show it. It's kind of like an inverted trough that kind of kicks off the coastline here, and it remains very progressive. So, yeah, depending on which model run of the European model, you know, this is kind of kicking off the coast as high pressure builds in behind it. We go further out in the European model. Looks like high pressure just building in here for Christmas week here along the U.S. East Coast. All right, so snowfall amounts here on our European run. Yeah, so through this week, you can see as we head on into the weekend, we're going to pick up snowfall across the Midwest here, anywhere from 2 to 5, maybe 6 inches in some of these areas, as well northern Pennsylvania into upstate New York. So it's going to get interesting. Maybe we're on the Catskills here. I'll just zoom in momentarily. But look at as we get into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Yeah, we kind of pick up a little bit of total snow totals here in upstate New York, western New England, so we'll have to watch out. But look at here. Oh, this is interesting. This run of the European model going pretty bold with some heavy snow up here with this New Year's storm up into parts of the Northeast. Let's take a look at the GFS here. So, yeah, the backside of that, let's get that out of the way. The backside of this system, as we get into Wednesday night, maybe a couple inches on the ridge tops, but most areas below an inch. Here's our system as we head into the weekend. The GFS is lighter than the European model, continues to be with almost nothing here into the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. So as we get into next week, though, GFS goes kind of crazy across the Poconos and Catskills of New York into the Susquehanna region here with lots of snowfall totals around Christmas Day, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That would be a nice Christmas present for many. But then as we head on into, there it is, the New Year. So the GFS is much further west with this low, whereas the European had a lot of snow up into parts of New York and New England for the New Year's. So far, GFS run of the snowfall, there it is. picking up a little bit on the backside. I think the GFS is overdoing, especially a lot of this through New York and Pennsylvania. We'll keep an eye on it, though. As we head on into the weekend, the GFS really not showing much, maybe an inch or two with that weak system. Here we go. There's Christmas Eve coming out of Canada into Christmas Day. Look at this. Right around Binghamton, 7 inches into the Catskills and Poconos, upwards of 10, 11 inches by all is said and done. Late Wednesday night, Christmas night next week. So, wow, that could be kind of interesting across the area if it does verify. That pushes into western New England, too. So some of these purple areas could hit 6 or more inches. We'll keep an eye on it. All right, so our European run here. Yeah, I'm more in line with this. Most areas an inch or less heading on into Wednesday night. There it is, though, for the weekend. Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. Look at that. Upwards of 1 to 3 inches. Some areas approaching 5, 6 inches here in the Catskills and Poconos. Into northern New England, about 2 to 3 inches on average. Now look at this as we get into Tuesday, Christmas Eve, and Wednesday. Yeah, the European kind of going with this thinking as well. Not as heavy. Oh, let's back that up for a second. So it seems like there's a little bit of an intensification in these areas of northeast Pennsylvania, upstate New York, especially the Poconos and Catskills, and heading on into western New England. So we may be looking at a white Christmas here. The models are kind of honing in on it. Now, I want to show you the European as we go towards the following week. Yeah, New Year's Eve. Look at that. That would be a really interesting snowstorm if this does verify. All right, our liquid equivalent precipitation forecast here on our European model. You can see as we head through Wednesday and Thursday, a shot of about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch across parts of the Ohio Valley and Northeast. Heavier amounts down here where it's convective in nature, 1 to 2 inches. But look at this as we head on into, wow. You see there's a little bit up here in the Northeast that will fall as some frozen. But look at, you see a major storm here come out of the Colorado low path area and then progress towards the Northeast as we head on into the new year. So things could go downhill, and it looks like this could be a lot of rain. And take a look at our GFS here. Very similar picture as we head on in through Christmas here. GFS going a little bit crazier with the snowfall accumulations up here, adding some, could be several inches here. It could be, actually, this is the 12Z. Let's take a look at the 18Z. It has backed off a bit. You can see, but there it is. It's still there showing up here across northwestern Pennsylvania, northeastern parts of Pennsylvania into southern New England. So up amounts widespread, 1 to 2 inches here into the darker purple zones. And then as we head on into the new year, yeah, that New Year's system could be a big one, pushing up a lot of warm air. And if we take a look at the upper air pattern here at 500 millibars, as we go into the weekend, you can see that ridge changes right over to a trough here in the east. It's kind of a neutrally tilted until we get to about Saturday, where it becomes a little bit negatively tilted. So we'll continue to watch that. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then as we continue through next week, yeah, Firecracker Ridge building in. So kind of interesting that we could see snow chances on the south side of this massive ridge. We do have some energy rounding the bend along the Gulf Coast. That pushes to the south. But look at, as we head through the Christmas holiday into New Year's, it seems like that ridge is really holding tough here across much of the east. So if we take a look at the European run here, let's just back this up just a sec here. So yeah, as we head through the rest of the week, there's that big trough for the weekend. Our snow chances, at least for a couple inches widespread in many areas. That hangs around into Sunday. The European keeps that hanging longer. You see through Christmas week next week, though, even though the European has some chances of snow as well, it's on the south side of this big Firecracker Ridge across eastern Canada. So we'll have to keep an eye on it here. One thing the European goes big that the GFS doesn't is the potential for an East Coast snowstorm New Year's Eve. So our Canadian weather outlook, let's take a look here across Canada. We are looking at quite a bit in the way of action as we continue through the 18th here. So there's going to be a couple systems, the West Coast here getting pummeled with mountain snow, valley rain. But look at this burst of heavier snow with this Pacific system as it heads through Alberta, Saskatchewan, southern areas along the U.S.-Canadian border. Now watch this low here along the coast. I mentioned this earlier in my U.S. weather report earlier in this video. You can see we could get clipped eastern Maine, New Brunswick, up to interesting here with there it is. So this actually isn't the low pressure system initially here. We do get an area of snowfall that moves out across New Brunswick. Look, this storm, the first storm, looks like mostly rain here for Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Now, this sets us up. It's really quiet here the 20th. We just have light snow showers across the southern province of Saskatchewan. High pressure building in through most of Canada during this point, except the west coast here. Lots of coastal rain and very heavy mountain snow. Now, watch this area of low pressure. For you in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, look at this. This is the 21st. Look at this massive low, 986 millibars. You could be getting heavy snow from southern New Brunswick here, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, up to Newfoundland here. Only the southern and eastern coastal sections may get in on the rain here as this winds up into 976 millibars. Could we be seeing more than 30, 40 centimeters of snow in some places with tremendous wind? It is quite possible here. Look at this. This blasts onto the northeast. That's the only saving grace for this storm. And then look what happens here. A quiet period sets up for Christmas, with the exception for the west coast of Canada here, where we continue to get that moist flow with these storm systems pinwheeling towards the U.S. Pacific Northwest. Now watch as we go through the 27th, 28th, 29th. We start to get that southerly flow kick out, and that's going to actually change a lot of the snow to rain here across southern Ontario and eventually Quebec here. It's only western Ontario where we get the burst of heavier snow, and that is going to be a changing weather trend here that sets up more closer to what we've seen the last couple winters. And right here around New Year's Eve, though, you could get a burst of heavier snow up here to the north. And here we go for your Canadian liquid equivalent precipitation. This is going to take us all the way through the holiday season here. There's the west coast of Canada. You know it. 200, 300 millimeters plus here. 5 to 10 inches achievable liquid equivalent. You're no stranger to that. But look at southeast Canada here, particularly from New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island here. These areas could easily see 90 to as much as 125 millimeters of liquid equivalent, and a lot of this could actually fall as snow. Let's take a look at that. So here we are on the GFS for snowfall. Yeah, look at that. That's some crazy snowfall accumulations here. This just takes us through Christmas Day. So these areas across parts of Nova Scotia, 25, 30, 40 centimeters. Yeah, this storm means business. And just to give you a heads up there, up to Prince Edward Island, especially northern and northwestern Newfoundland here, just the east coast of Canada here, northeast, it could be some big-time snow. And we're just going to add to that over time. Inland here, Ontario and northern Quebec, about 20, 25 centimeters adding up. Look at the west coast of Canada. Yeah, you're well above 100 centimeters here. Thanks to Tropical Tidbits for our satellite analysis here of Invest 96W. You can see here are the Philippines in through here, the southern Philippines, and here's our system. It is going to hang out here off the coast for several days. All right, so we really want to look at the Western Pacific here because we have an area of concern. It is Invest 96W here. So let's kick this back here so I can show you. We're kind of far out here on the timeline. This actually thing, there we go. It actually loaded. So as we continue to watch this system here bear down on the Philippines, let's see how this thing develops. So it's going to hang out here. We do have a front just to the north here, so you'll be feeling that here in the northern Philippines drying out a bit. But as we continue through the 19th into the 20th, watch what starts to happen with this storm. GFS is going weaker on this run. It's still going to be tremendous heavy rain, and I'll show you those rainfall amounts momentarily here. But as we continue to go in time, you can see that it does try to develop on the other side of the Philippines here between Vietnam and the Philippines through the 22nd. So we'll be watching this storm, the tail end of this frontal boundary, for quite some time, even as we head on into Christmas week. And that does try to develop. I still think we're going to see a named tropical storm out of this. It's very possible. Thankfully, the models have backed off on a tremendous typhoon that it was showing earlier. But I caution you, because look at as we head through between Christmas and New Year's here, right around the 27th, look at these tropical waves just lining up. You have to think that one of these is going to develop into something. And if we just go a little bit further out on the timeline here, you can see one is trying to spin up here just before New Year's, right into the southern Philippines, and then towards Vietnam. And looking at our precipitation amounts here, the Philippines stretching towards eastern Vietnam. That's the big winners here, or losers, whatever you want to call it here. You don't need the extra rainfall here in the Philippines, I do know that, but you could be approaching 250, 300, 350 millimeters here. So that's going to get you up towards that dangerous 5 to 10 inches with locally higher to a foot of rain or more. So that's getting dangerous. And before we continue with more weather, check out these awesome, amazing maps that you won't find anywhere else.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease, or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
And let's take a look at our temperature outlook as we continue through time here. Look at that big cold blast here across the upper Midwest as we continue on to Wednesday. 40 still holding on through much of the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. But look what starts to happen behind this front. Thursday, you see that cold air filtering in. This is still above average. As you can see, it could be a lot worse, but look at this. We do start to see evidence by Friday here, December 20th. Look at this cold blast. This will be heading south and eastward just in time for the weekend. Mainly the lakes, the Northeast, and the Ohio Valley struggling to reach 32. In fact, these areas hitting the 20s for highs as we head on into Sunday. That reinforces and consolidates across the Northeast, with many areas struggling to even get to 20 or above. And then look at this. By Monday, we try to erode this colder air, so it looks like some areas in the Northeast and Midwest and Great Lakes could have a white Christmas. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, Binghamton, Susquehanna, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Don't forget, Wednesday, rain moving in, mainly in the afternoon and evening. That could mix and change to a few snow showers Wednesday night. Little to, if any, accumulation expected. Thursday, we cool it off into the 30s, but watch this. Arctic front pushing down Friday into Friday night, Saturday. Scattered snow showers becoming likely throughout the day, Friday and Friday night. We could have an inch or two blowing and drifting around. Look at that. For the weekend, it gets extremely cold, barely struggling to hit 20 by Sunday. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, it's MeteoMark.com. And don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button, or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.